Hello, what's up, guys? This video is going to be purely about some last minute tips for your financial management and your AFM exam. There can be students who are writing both together as well. We never know. Like morning and afternoon batch. That's gonna be so hectic. No, I don't know. I'm just joking. But yeah, if we talk about the last minute tips, let me start with FM first. It's comparatively easier to cover than AFM because, of course, AFM is a professional level, high level exam. Talking about FM, for some tips for scoring, I had scored 80, and for scoring 80, of course, there was a lot of practice behind it, and the entire kit I have practiced many times. But at the same time, there were also some time management tips that were utilized. So I finished the paper 10 minutes before, and I was like, I had written very slowly. It was that type. So I don't know, that was a thing of shock for me. But then I was also very chill at the time when I was writing the paper, and that is only possible because I started with the last section first. When that stress of finishing the last section went, then I went on to hopped on to the first section, first two sections, all of that MCQs and all that. Because MCQs, I comparably, for me, in my psychology, I think subconsciously it is easier to solve. Like, you just have to like read through that one line, and then okay, this is, you know the concept, you can answer it, you have the calculator also in your hand, well and good. And you have the rough, always ask for the rough paper, rough pen, in case if they forget it. And have your own pen. Actually, sometimes they don't give the pen also. And pencil, maybe they give. My exam center used to give, but I don't know about you. Just bring your own thing there, and just resolve it. So ask for as many papers as possible. It's totally okay, but don't bring your own paper. That's not allowed. Solve it for your MCQs. And my technique was that, after solving, I used to check if that option is there. If it is there, then also compare with other options. Fast, not like I will sit and spend a lot of time on that. Fast, you can check other options also, compare with other alternatives. And when you confirm that okay, the other alternatives are purely incorrect, clearly they are incorrect, go ahead with that option, take it off, and go ahead. So this would mean that you don't have to recheck your answer, so that also time has been saved. And first thing, though, I said already, I have finished the last part of the paper, which is, for example, I am a person who sometimes writes a lot, or takes a lot of time, does a proper planning process, implements the planning, and then goes for writing the answers. So I am that type. And even you can be that type. Anyone should be that type. It's not like there's a type for it. But it means that, if it is time consuming, that section is very time consuming for you, start with that so that the stress gets over. So subconsciously you are there. So that is there. And secondly, always utilize the spreadsheet properly. So in that, one thing was there, I used to write in spreadsheet also, if I remember. I wrote it 2 years back, so don't know. I used to write in spreadsheet also, and used to justify, for every point which I used to write, I used to justify with the respective working note, like working note 1A, working note 1 part B. This is the thing, this is the thing. Because without doing this, your description, your answer is incomplete. You can't expect full marks if you're only going to go do the calculation and leave it off there. So you need to walk through for the examiner. You need to show him, okay, this is this, this is this. It should be easy for him or her to read your paper, basically. That's all. So that is that point. And of course, link each and every cell. Show the entire step, even if it's a small step. Don't be shy, show the entire step. Because two reasons: one, the examiner will easily be able to track in case if you have done a mistake. He won't cut your entire mark, he will only cut for the mark which is, where your step is wrong. That is one. Second is that, in case if you're making change to any cell, you realize later that, oh no, the demand that I included in the EOQ calculation is wrong, or my WAC rate is wrong, or something that I included is wrong by mistakenly. So you will make the change, and all the linked cells will change. That's all. So that's why it is very important. Put equal, put formula, link the cell, and go ahead. It will make your life easier. You don't have to like manually do it. Because I remember during FR, I had actually not linked the cells at all. I was manually doing the entire thing, which was a mess. Like, I mean, although I scored 80 still, but I was not that. smart at that point. I don't know why I did not utilize the spreadsheet functions. I did not utilize anything properly. And I was not, that consistent with probably watching these videos that show all these tips, tricks, and all of that. So that's okay, fine. People learn from their mistakes, but I don't want you guys to make this mistake tomorrow. So please keep a note. Next is AFM. I would like to cover some points about AFM. This second part of the video is going to be about AFM. So, of course, time management is the first thing that I'll start with, because, firstly, people, the main complaint in every examiner report is that you are spending full entire 1 hour or 1.5 hour on your first question and leaving the rest two questions like that. The second part be like that. So I would say that, okay, the tip here is, of course, practice. But now that the time is over, let's not talk about practice anymore. You might have done your own thing, but finish, take 1 hour, finish, properly read through, make a plan, answer the main part, of course, at least the main paragraphs and all that, whatever it is, and then go for the next part. Then go for section B, answer both the parts and all that in that. But in the first section, don't spend more than 1 hour. Okay, we will come back to it later. There are 3 hours of the exam. First hour you will spend on that, answering and all the main part. Okay, and don't consider making a report that time, because you need to make a proper report format, right? In AFM exam, it's a professional level exam. You need to make a proper report format. Maybe don't make the report format in the first 1 hour. Just write the answer, jot the points at least, because points keep coming and going in your mind. You're always in stress during the exam time. So as soon as you get the point, the relevant point, based on your practice, based on your knowledge and all, you just jot it down properly, and finish it off how much ever you can, based on your capacity. I'm not saying that this is a must hard and fast rule. Based on your capacity, how much ever you can finish off. Even if you can finish the entire answer, well and good. That clearly shows you have practiced a lot. You're very good with your technical knowledge here. But okay, this is this thing. Then you answer the remaining parts properly. Don't jot down points there. Properly you answer there, with all the professionalism skills and all, whatever they are, whatever relevant skill is applicable, and spreadsheet formulas, spreadsheet link ups, whatever I explained for FM as well, same is applicable there. And proper points for professional skepticism. Properly you're giving the reasoning, proper discussion out there, and all of that, and spaces between paragraphs and all that. Okay. Then, of course, time will be left. You can go back to the first part, and finish it off, and you're good to go. And while you're answering the question itself, you answer in a way where you're rechecking your answer at the same time, so that later on, even if you spend a lot of time in the first part, like you're probably very busy with the first part, uh, and even if you follow my plan, you still end up spending a lot of time in the first part. Okay. That would mean rechecking on a timely basis would mean that you don't have to, your paper is not incomplete. You're good to go. You have answered all the sections. You are eligible to get in 60s, 70s, or even 80s if your answer qualities are really good. Okay. So, in short, follow my plan, and I trust me, it will work. Trust me. Because I will say from my personal experience, from someone who has done this mistake, I think that would really give you the you know that will really give you a chance to learn from someone's mistake. So I'm giving you this plan, and it will work for sure. My common sense says it will work. Okay. So now, first let me start with what are the examiners report, generally what they have commented on that, so that we don't make those mistakes. Examiners report and what I have observed also, based on feedbacks and all of that. So first thing, we have to properly follow the format. Remember, there are 20 easy professional marks to score. Okay. Freely you can score if you follow the writing style, the make less spelling mistakes, use three sentences per paragraph, make spacing, and what we say, analysis. For every analysis, there's an associated calculation, there's a particular reasoning, there's a proper recommendation, and along with some challenging, your professional skepticism skill comes up there. So I'll explain these professional skepticism skills, how and why, when it is applicable, all of that I'll explain. But the first part, as I said already, It should be first you reading the question, okay, answering. I remember the first part, part A is like a textbook answer types. It's not like scenario specific, but it can be scenario specific also. We don't know. It can be general also. So my time it was general. It was like a general answer if I remember. Yeah. So usually, what is tested? Mergers, acquisitions, hedging, also sometimes this appraisals, all of that. Usually, that is tested. That's like basic there. They love testing that there. So I'm reading it because I've jotted down points from a lot of my research and all. So this is one thing. Now, while you answer the question, remember all the professional skills. Okay. For example, if there's an APV question or an NPV question, investment appraisal question, or mergers and acquisitions, you're trying to find out how much gain is there for the existing shareholders, for the new shareholders, whether the requirement is fulfilled or not, whatever assumptions are there, whatever it is. So while answering that, first thing, generally, okay, no professional skepticism is practiced while assumptions are challenged. Okay, fine. But generally, also when you're making a recommendation, are going to tell all the factors, whatever factors led to the decision. Okay, so while you specify the factors, you're also telling your analysis. Okay, you're backing your analysis. So your analysis and evaluation part, your professional skill is covered, because you're going to give the calculations, and according to that you're making recommendations, so you have the backing for the recommendations. That is first. Second, if you have this, if you challenge every logic that you use, and then give a particular logic behind why you chose that point. For example, I have there is this so and so factor that is to be considered. However, in this scenario, this is what is most realistic. So you have considered different factors, you have challenged different factors, and then afterwards whatever you found realistic for the scenario is what you have chosen. So that is professional skepticism, right? You have considered everything. Evaluation, analysis, professional skepticism, presentation of the report also matters. You utilize three sentences per paragraph. Okay. And for every sentence, strong sentence with the relevant keywords and whatever, for every sentence that you write, assume that you have got 1 or 2 marks in that. Okay. So accordingly, you can then figure out how much is required for the first part of the question, right? For the first part of 50 marks, that is actually for the first part, how much you have covered, how much is there in your hand, and how much more you have to write. You can estimate according to how many sentences itself you write. Solid sentences. Don't just consider some small sentence. This is NPV is positive. That is not complete. For that, you won't get 1 mark also. So remember that this is there. Next, of course, then the way you communicate your answer, your communication skills, your English is also tested. So, simple English, how are you presenting your answer? Is the examiner understanding it? Are you able to communicate your point or not? What recommendation you're trying to make, are you trying to able to communicate that well? Well and good. Simple English is enough. You don't have to be complicated there, sophisticated there. Okay. Then afterwards, of course, you utilize the spreadsheet there. Never forget to utilize that. Link the cells there also, same what I would say. Working notes, very important. So for example, cost of debt calculation, cost of equity calculation, then WACC calculation. You're linking every working note with your answer. Why the WACC is so high, maybe cost of debt is so high. Then if you have to mention about some model, sorry, that Modigliani model, M&M model, and all of that. So, and if the cost of debt is there, that is a significant proportion of WACC is reducing, and so on. So, while saying the sentence, you are using theory. You have to also make sure that you have the relevant working note referenced for that, and at the same time it is relevant to the scenario. It's not like you're just throwing up knowledge. It has to be relevant to the scenario. Maybe if their cost of debt is or they are not utilizing debt itself in their financing structure, and they should utilize some more debt, probably to enjoy the lesser interest costs, I mean lesser costs of servicing the debt. the tax deductibility feature and all that. I'm not going to technicals, but I'm trying to say how to answer the question basically. So you utilize spreadsheet properly, because in this paper, if you don't utilize spreadsheet, then you're all in vain. Because investment appraisal, you don't utilize spreadsheet, you don't link the cells, then what is this? What is the use of having a spreadsheet for AFM exam? I mean, the whole point is you utilizing it for, the growth rate calculations, for the operating cash flow calculations, for finding out whether the merger is a success or a failure or whatever it is. And linking your other working notes with your first working note, which is going to be your investment appraisal calculation, like that. So I said you, this is how it is. Have a proper intro paragraph, very important. Proper format of the proper presentation should be there. Format to board of directors, to whomever you're writing, that should be there. And then also write references, add references when you're writing in the paragraphs. Refer to working note this in the paragraphs, it's supposed to be there, so that they can walk through. And based on this so and so working note, which has the so and so analysis, I have made this, no, this conclusion has been made. Don't mention I is not professional at all. This conclusion has been made. It's like you're a consultant and you're answering, like, after all the analysis has been made. So that's this thing. Then proper conclusion, short conclusion, short and sweet conclusion, which is concluding about all, whatever the question was asking, and whether your points are able to answer what the question is asking. Final conclusion should be like, not your recommendation. Recommendation is another paragraph. Final conclusion is what you're concluding, whatever you have covered in the report, whatever work you did, and whatever you found out. And basically that should be like, okay guys, I have answered the question, this is what I've done, this is the work I've done, this is the factors you should consider. Basically your answer in small short paragraph, very small sentences. That's it, that's the conclusion. Covered, done, that section is over. Now section B, there you have to again consider professional marks, your commercial acumen, all these relevant skills out there while answering the question. And of course, utilize a spreadsheet. There's usually adjusted present value, hedging, all these easy topics are there. Very easily you can finish it off, like within 40 minutes itself or something. You can finish it off if you're very good with these topics, and you're very well versed with that. And of course, again, there also the problem usually identified as per examiner's report is that discussion is not proper, discussion is not professional. You have a lot of calculations in place, hedging, everything is correctly calculated, gain, loss, foreign exchange, everything is correctly calculated, but you don't have the discussion in place, a realistic discussion which is making a recommendation for what hedging strategy should be there in place. Okay, that is one thing. And then afterwards, when you're answering about something related to the syllabus topic, for example, hedging strategies, for example, IRR, NPV, whatever, what should be preferred, you're not supposed to answer generally why NPV is preferred over IRR, why NPV is preferred over other valuation techniques. No, you're not supposed to answer it like generally. You should be specific to the scenario. In our scenario, clearly, there are shareholders. Our objective is to maximize the wealth of the shareholders, and therefore NPV should be preferred there. NPV is considering, so be specific. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And then some, whatever short sweet points to answer, make it to 25 marks. As I said, one sentence covers 1 or 2 points. One solid sentence covers 1 or 2 points. So this is one thing. And then afterwards, be consistent with whatever your calculations say. Your calculation should not say something else, and your discussion should not cover something else. And then of course, discursive answers are correct. Discursive answers tend to get more marks. That means, of course, you're not just relying on your calculation, your answer is different scenarios. And also, one part that I forgot to cover in the first section, if you're able to give real life examples, you're very relevant, you're regularly reading technical articles, you're regularly into the news, financial news, same industry. For example, if it's charity industry, or you know about the charity industry, or regularly reading news about it, any failures, any recommendations, any what we say merger and acquisitions that have taken place, and synergies, whether synergies have been resulted in real life. So whatever you learn from there, whatever you learn from the news, you can even apply that in the real life scenario, sorry, in the answer. And maybe that could be helpful, and that clearly showcases commercial acumen, guys. So that is one skill that is also tested. So that's all about it, guys. Realistic answers, time management, not going too much into irrelevant details, be very to the point, be situational. That's all I would say for both of the papers. And wishing you the best of luck. Nothing is hard. Everything is chill. Revise your topics, read through technical articles, read through some news about, uh, you know, uh, based on whatever past practices you have done. Read through news about such companies which you have practiced before, and maybe they could be helpful in specifically talking about the AFM exam. So, thank you so much, guys. Bye.